What's going on with everybody, man? Back on here on stream. Wanted to touch on a few things that I saw that was very, very interesting. As my day's been going on, I saw this on Twitter, and you know what? I had to get on stream for this because I needed to talk about it, and I want to get my thoughts. I had a comment on one of my last videos about how there's no audio. I apologize for not having the audio. My mic was acting up apparently, and I had no idea until the video was uploaded. Um, so yeah, I mean, we have a lot to talk about here. Yo, bro, loving this stream. Your vibe is solid. I'm always down to connect with chill streamers. I appreciate it. Um, I'm not really into collaborating with games right now. Um, Particularly because I like to play a lot of single player focused games, so I'm not really into like the multiplayer aspect. But I do appreciate you dropping that comment in there. Um, I'll go ahead and show that on there. I appreciate all that. I really, really do. But we'll go ahead and hide that, and we'll go ahead and show what I was originally showing on here. I'm on the road to 2,000 subs also on YouTube, trying to hit that goal before the end of the year. So if you haven't already, drop a sub, drop a like, drop your comments about the topics that we're talking about in this here today, man. I mean, Xabi Alonso seems like he's interested in the Chelsea job, given what I saw on Twitter before I got on here. We're gonna go ahead and pull over to my page. I appreciate people chiming in here, bro. Appreciate the people jumping in here. I know the title is something that a lot of people are gonna be chiming in and trying to get their thoughts in, but um, this is coming via, and I need to go to my likes here real quick. Um, yeah, it's coming from Dario AS. Now, how reliable are they? They are one of, I believe they are one of the more prominent Spanish news outlets in Spain with about 3.1 million followers. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this story, man. It says Xabi Alonso is interested in Chelsea. If you translate it, that's what it says. Even though the guy said, please translate. It seems that it's coming out that he is actually interested in the job here, right? And this goes hand in hand with this next piece that I'm going to show you here via Fabrizio Romano, CFC Pice Max on here on YouTube or on YouTube on Twitter. Enzo Fernandez situation. New manager could be important. For example, if the new manager tries to talk to Enzo to keep him, there's also a contract discussion between Chelsea and the player, where no agreement has been able to be found on salary. So the contract dispute between Enzo and the club is over salaries. It's not that he wants to leave and go play somewhere else. He just wants to be paid right. Where no agreement has been able to be found on the salary since December 2025. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks. I mean, yeah, he did kiss the badge. He did do all this. But the main topic here, guys, is Xabi Alonso, right? Is this a guy that we should seriously consider going after? Yes, absolutely. Why? Because the players are going to get behind this. The players are absolutely going to get behind this. And I can't stress it enough that if they find somehow some way to land this guy as the manager, I think everything could be turned around. The ownership at that point, if you get Xabi Alonso in there, keep your shit on the business side of things where you guys seem to be fucking up right now, realistically, right? But Xabi Alonso coming to Chelsea would absolutely change how I think a lot of fans are going to be seeing the following season. He's going to want some of his players in, right? It wasn't even showing, was it? Let me go ahead and show what I was talking about here real quick. So he's going to essentially be the guy that dictates whether or not Enzo Fernandez stays or not. And if he can come to a contract agreement, Xabi Alonso will probably have him first name on the team sheet. Now, we need more news and more confirmation that he's actually interested in this, but I'm speculating that if there is serious interest and it's coming from one of these outlets, one of the more prominent Spanish outlets out there, I feel like there is some substance behind this. And I wasn't able to show you guys it specifically, but here it is right here. Xabi Alonso is interested in Chelsea. And if he is, they need to do everything they can to go get this man. I think he would completely change how this club is being ran from the top down. Now, he's not going to be on the board, but he's going to have an important say on what players come in and out. And if we pull over to the players that supposedly he wants to keep and he wants to sell, I need to find that post real quick. I think I saw it over here somewhere. But a few of the players that he wanted to keep were the likes of Enzo Fernandez, were the likes of Nicholas Jackson, were the likes of Moises Caicedo, basically the key players that we would need in the squad to take to at least have a foundation for experienced players to come in, and he can work with the Magic. He's the same guy that had Bayer Leverkusen go through the undefeated season to win the Bundesliga and finally stop Bayern Munich's insane winning streak of winning the Bundesliga. Could he come to Chelsea and replicate that kind of success? He's not going to go undefeated, but if he comes, Chelsea will, in my opinion, be a perennial top 4 team and possibly pushing on for the title if he gets certain players in through the door. I think he comes in, you're gonna see players like Garnacho out, like Liam Delap out, like Tosin out, like all the players that have actually have cost us points this season will no longer be here. He's going to want a mass exodus of players out, and he's going to want that money that is going to be generated off those sales in order to get players that he feels is going to take this team to the next level. So that's why you keep an Enzo Fernandez, because you can build a team around him. You keep Caicedo, you keep Palmer, you keep Lavia, you keep João Pedro, right? You keep Marc Cucurella. You obviously have Reece James there still, right? All this team needs is a bit of experience sprinkled in. And this team isn't as bad as everyone perceives them to be. Our first 11 generally hasn't been the greatest, but if you put in a few players in there that actually know how to win, this team isn't as shit as everybody says it is. So Xabi Alonso, man, drop your thoughts in the comments about how you guys are feeling about that, bro. Because I do feel like that's going to be some type of, it'll be one of the biggest appointments in their history if they get this right, for one, and two, the fans have to back him. The fans absolutely have to back this man. Because at least for him, he has trophies on his CV, and he has some type of a European pedigree in him as well. And also being a former player at the highest level, winning the World Cup with Spain, being in those great Real Madrid teams, being in those great Liverpool teams as well. He would be exceptional for this team, especially in the midfield area where we have good midfielders. You get somebody with his intelligence to coach Caicedo, to coach Lavia, to coach Isugo, to coach Santos and Enzo. Yeah, you're going to probably see them take that next step into superstardom that a lot of people feel like they can step into. If the news is true, give him the keys to the castle. Other than Nagelsmann, he's arguably the best fit for this team. Chelsea wanted a Xabi Alonso type project, so give him the keys. Exactly. If you want a Xabi Alonso style project, you go hire the man that the project is named after. And I believe he could fix this team because he's going to have the structure and the discipline within himself to let the board know, look, if you want me here and you guys are as serious about trying to turn this shit around, then you guys have to allow me to bring in the players that I'm asking for. And even if a couple players have to leave, I need that money to reinvest into the squad because I believe I can take this team to the next level. And I believe he can if he is the man that we are seriously looking at. So let me know, guys. Like, is he the guy that we should that we should go after? What is the Ramos news? Which Ramos are you speaking on, bro? Is that my title? Oh, it's the Romano news about just this piece right here. This specifically, Enzo Fernandez, like what I'm saying here is that the important thing here is that the new manager is gonna talk to the guy about staying, because the issue that these two sides are having is salary. He's never explicitly said that he wants to leave Chelsea. All he has said is that, which city would you prefer to live in? And he said in Madrid. It doesn't mean he wants to play for Real Madrid. And I think that's the misconception that a lot of people are getting out of this, is that just because he said that doesn't mean he wants to leave. He's looking for a new contract. So it means he wants to stay, essentially. Now, he did the same thing before he went from Benfica to Chelsea, pointing at the badge, pointing at his head, saying that he's staying here. But he's also been at the club now for about 3 seasons, 3 years now. He's been linked with the move away since he signed the contract at Chelsea, and he has yet to leave. Is that because teams don't want to pay the money, or is that because he's made it known that he doesn't really want to leave? He was the biggest villain when Liam Rosinha was the manager. Now, all of a sudden, he's everyone's hero because he points at the badge. No, he's been good for majority of the season, and people were taking a shit on him for majority of the season because he's the easiest person to go after because of the comments he made during the international week. Should he have said those comments? Probably not. But when you're asked a question about where you would want to live and how it reminds you of home, I don't find anything wrong with that. I really, really don't. So yeah, bro, I appreciate that comment. Honestly, I know I should have probably been a little bit more, I should have put Fabrizio Romano, not Romano. But I mean, I feel like everybody knows who he is, so that's why I put that as a comment. It's not clickbait or anything, bro. It's just more or less this is the story that I'm talking about here, right? And like I do like going to this man's page because he does bring a lot of information that I like to go over. So John Obi Mikel sends a message to the owners. Listen, mate, we're not an experiment. You've done experimenting with Chelsea. We're a ready-made team, established winners, big trophies, biggest team in London. Don't come and experiment with us. No, get managers that are ready-made and experienced at winning titles, whether that is a manager or a player. It doesn't matter who the manager is. This fan base just wants a winner in the manager spot. To have us get behind something. The ownership is a separate issue. The players, I feel like you get the right manager in place and you have the right players in place. Whatever the ownership is doing, we can handle that as a fan base. But the on-pitch performances, we can critique that because it's been horrific for the better part now since November. It's been that bad. The end of November, early December is when this team went downhill. And that's the truth. If people don't want to believe that, then you're blind to what's been really going on since the Arsenal game that we drew 1-1 where Moises Caicedo got sent off. We get ripped up by Leeds, and then we don't really pull out any decent results in the month of December, to be honest with you. We lose to Atalanta. We just scrape out a 2-0 win against Everton. We didn't play well in that month. We dropped points against Bournemouth. We didn't play well. We were horrible, and we've been horrible ever since. Yeah, we had a 5-game match unbeaten streak, but once February hit, we've only picked up 3 points in the league. We've been knocked out of the Champions League. Yeah, we got into an FA Cup final, but is that the expectations that Chelsea fans have nowadays? Is, oh, well, at least we're in a cup final. It's not good enough. This season, at a bare minimum, it was being in the top 4. Then it's pushing on for the major honors. That's what this season was supposed to be about. You were supposed to go get the experienced players, but they didn't do it, right? If Xabi Alonso is going to be the guy that takes this team forward, then he's going to want experience come through this club. That's just the reality of what's going to be going on. He's not going to come here without assurances. He just isn't. On some other news, Manchester United, they won today. Now they're about 2 points off from qualifying for the Champions League officially, and it's been a long time coming. They've had a very good second half of the season. Firing Ruben Amorim was the right move, and Michael Carrick has brought the Manchester United DNA back into that club, into that squad, essentially. Now they're all but certain to qualify for the Champions League, probably with Liverpool and Aston Villa as the 5 teams from England that will be in the Champions League. And if Aston Villa win the Europa League, it'll be 6 teams in the Champions League, and Chelsea will not be a part of that. It's embarrassing. It is. But Xabi Alonso, man, I will say this. It would be a hell of a signing. They beat Brentford 2-1, goals from Casemiro and Sesko. Matthias Jansen scoring for Brentford. I mean, Manchester United, they look good, man. They really, really do. They really, really do, man. And like, in a way, I'm happy for them because and I'm a Chelsea fan. I shouldn't say I'm happy for Manchester United, but I don't like seeing big clubs like that being down in the dumps, and it's not because of the players. It's because of the manager, and it's because of the ownership. Now, a lot of those players that they signed at Man United have improved them significantly. Matthias Cunha, right? You got Sesko in there. You got Brian Mbuemo in there now. Casemiro has found some type of form again, right? Bruno Fernandez is playing like the player of the season, and he probably will be the player of the season, and he absolutely deserves it. I've never been the biggest fan of Bruno Fernandez because I feel like he complains a lot on the pitch, but his play on the field backs up a lot of the shit that he does. Right? Chance percentage on who will become next Chelsea manager. This was 14 hours ago, but with stuff coming out now about Xabi Alonso, I think he might be the favorite. I said he's waiting for the Anfield job, but I'm going to tell you something, man. I wouldn't mind it. But hasn't Enzo Fernandez done enough to be universally loved by this fan base? I mean, he shows up in the big games, to be honest with you. When you need him to show up, he does show up. He does have stinkers, but generally, the man's been he has 23 goals and assists as a number 8. That's exceptional. 13 goals and 10 assists. That's exceptional. For a number 8, that's what you want. That's world-class numbers from a box-to-box midfielder that can box crash. Yeah, you want that. You absolutely want that any team. You take those 23 goals and assists out of this team, Chelsea are facing relegation. They absolutely are. So I want to know your guys' thoughts on Xabi Alonso, being interested in the job. I'm not saying he's going to be the manager. He's interested in the job. Three years since he joined Chelsea, 0 goals and assists. No one is talking about this fraud. I mean, he's also been injured for like more than half that time. And his game isn't about scoring goals. It's about starting attacks and destroying passages of play. If Romeo Lavia was scoring 10 goals and had 5 assists in the Premier League, he would be considered one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, right? So these troll accounts are crazy. Yeah. And people were really overreacting to this earlier. Enzo Fernandez has landed in Madrid City today with Cucurella and João Pedro. So he has informed Chelsea of his trip and has told them just to watch tennis. It's not a trip for discussion with Real Madrid. So does that mean Marc Cucurella and João Pedro would also be going to there? No. This is what I'm saying. People are overreacting to this trip, dude. And it's like, why? Why are we overreacting so much? Because he said his comments. He was asked a question about where he would live. I don't believe this at all. Napoli manager Antonio Conte is among the candidates being considered. Yeah, bro. He ain't coming back. Wait, really?
Réussi en équipe nationale que Messi, c'est ça?
Non, moi, j'ai pas dit en équipe nationale. J'ai dit en Coupe du Monde. J'ai dit en Coupe du Monde. J'ai bien précisé la Coupe du Monde. Mbappé plus fort. J'ai bien précisé en Coupe du Monde. Mbappé plus fort que Cristiano Messi en Coupe du Monde.
Mais parce qu'il a maintenant, je vais te répondre.
Il a joué 2 finales de suite en Coupe du Monde.
Ok, écoute, je vais te répondre. Moi, je te dis c'est faux. Moi, je te dis c'est faux.
Pourquoi?
MDR.
Ok, tu me dis répondre. Donc, pour toi, c'est juste une question. Tu me réponds après, je te dis. Mbappé, il a plus réussi en équipe nationale que Messi, c'est ça?
Non, moi, j'ai pas dit en équipe nationale. J'ai dit en Coupe du Monde. J'ai dit en Coupe du Monde. J'ai bien précisé la Coupe du Monde. Mbappé plus fort. J'ai bien précisé en Coupe du Monde. Mbappé plus fort.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think that's AI, to be honest with you. Yeah, I went over this earlier in my stream, like my morning stream I had. Xavi Simons has torn his ACL and will be out for the rest of the season with Spurs. Xavi will be back in action in 2027. And if you look at the state of the Tottenham medical staff. It is absolutely shambolic, the mismanagement of this guy's injury. As soon as he went down, there's a clip circulating from this guy, from this Tottenham fan on Instagram. And he's having a real go at the medical staff because they asked Xabi Simons to sit here and jump up and down after he tore a ligament in his knee. You don't need, I forgot the term he used, but I know they don't have scanners. They don't have scanners on the pitch. But if the guy is in this much distress as he was, now he hasn't been good this season at all. I think he's been one of the most disappointing signings this season. But Spurs have been horrible all season, right? I never want to see players get injured. I never want to see players be that much in distress to the point where you even have some of the Spurs fans having a go at him. And it's like, you guys have no shame, bro. No shame. And the Tottenham medical staff, what an absolute embarrassment you guys are. What an absolute embarrassment. Asking this man to run up and down, jump up and down with a fucked up knee. Have some shame. You mishandled this injury completely. And unfortunately for him, he's missing out on the rest of the season, and he's not going to be at the World Cup, which might be a huge blow for Holland in the World Cup. It's going to be a huge blow. So hopefully Xabi Simons, he does get better. He does recover, and he does get back to his best because he's not a bad player. He's just in a bad situation at a bad club, and he made the wrong decision to really go to Tottenham. Even though Chelsea had a chance to sign him, they never called him up. But even then, would he be thriving in this Chelsea team? I don't know. I really don't know. Because he's been bad all season, so we may have gone the same result if he came to us. So I don't know. But it's unfortunate, man. And yeah, I've never seen an injury list like this. Yeah, I've never seen essentially 11 starters on the sideline for Tottenham, bro. I've never seen it. And it sucks for them because it's going to cost them their spot in the Premier League. Pedro Neto apparently has 100 appearances for Chelsea. I'd say about 45 of those he's actually shown up. In my opinion, he'll be a statement acquisition. Ticks a lot of boxes for them. Also, players do. He walks in a bang. There's my medals. Believe the fans would get behind this also. With Slot staying, he'll be available. So if Arne Slot really is staying, then yeah, if he's available, you need to go get him. Like at this point, there's nobody else on the market right now, in my opinion, outside of Cesc Fabregas that I think these players would actually listen to. You can go get in like a top tier proven manager, but you're going to have to pay a shit ton of money to get him out of there for one. And two, are they going to want to deal with the ownership? Probably not. Xabi Alonso will probably deal with the ownership, but he'll also want some type of say with what's going on. I'm still Blue Co out. I think a lot of Chelsea fans are Blue Co out, bro. Still. But if he gets hired and he's brought in, listen, we're going to have a conversation about expectations for next season because people are going to have high expectations if he's the manager next season. The amount of players that we'll be linked with, the amount of formations we'll be able to run, the patterns of play that we'll be able to run under him, the free-flowing attacking nature of football that he has. And generally, he plays with the front two. So this is why Nicholas Jackson would be great to have come back. With João Pedro and with the Mega coming in, Liam Delap will be sold in the summer. Let's not get that twisted. He's not going to be there next season, in my opinion, because I don't think he's good enough to play at the club anyway. I think if he went to a team like West Ham, he went to a team, and even as high up as Newcastle, I think he would be doing a lot better there. But Chelsea was just too big of a jump. From Ipswich to Chelsea is just too big of a jump, bro. It really, really is. Confirmed, Florentino Perez has decided that he will be in full control of choosing Real Madrid's new manager. It will be his personal decision. I wonder who they're going to hire as manager, bro. Because to manage at Real Madrid, you need to have a backbone, thick skin, and you need to have some type of authority. What manager out there has that in them right now? Not a lot of them, because all those managers are at the top clubs. So we'll see what happens with them. I'm going to ask my friend about who he wants as the manager, but to be honest with you, there's been links with like Jurgen Klopp and all that, but I don't think he's going to leave his spot at Red Bull just to manage at Madrid. Maybe he'll get a tune out of these players really and help them win the Spanish league, but Jurgen Klopp's not going to be the next manager there. I think that can be thrown out the window. I just wonder who they're going to really go after. They have a good squad. It's just a matter of being a manager at this point. What is it with all these teams trying to switch up games? Thierry Henry on the FA Cup showdown between Man City and Chelsea at Wembley. This is what football is about. Two elite teams, big personalities, and everything is on the line at Wembley. Man City bring control, experience, and a winning machine mentality. But Chelsea in finals is something else. They suffer, they fight, and they find a way. This won't just be a game. It will be a battle of identity. And if we have recency bias to go off of this in terms of finals, the Conference League final, the Club World Cup final, the Champions League final back in 2021, even though that was under different ownership, Chelsea in finals are a different prospect. Now, the League Cup and the FA Cup that we lost in 2022, I believe it was the League Cup where it was one of the greatest 0-0 draws of all time, and Liverpool won on penalties on both occasions, I believe. So, Chelsea in this FA Cup final, are they going to show up? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Man City's not going to be an easy opposition, and they never have been. We haven't beat Man City since 2021. That curse has to be broken at some point. Hopefully, it's against them in the FA Cup final. Arsenal, really? I don't think this is true, but Arsenal are reportedly willing to consider offers for Victor Gyökeres in the summer. The Gunners are unimpressed with the forward's output and could entertain bids just 12 months after his arrival. They're ready to give up on him like that. He's actually been playing better, too. I don't really think that's true. The only thing stopping Sanchez from winning the Golden Glove is our defense, but there are only few goalkeepers better than him, and Raya is not one of them. It's no surprise that his form immediately picked back up once Liam Rossini was gone. The disrespect that I feel like Robert Sanchez was given under when Liam Rossini was here needs to be studied, bro. Like, you start Jorgensen in a Champions League round of 16 match away from home, and you think you're going to win that game? Insane, bro. If we successfully hire Xabi Alonso, would you restore faith in this Chelsea project? It's a 50-50 answer for me, bro. On one end, it probably could, because they hired somebody that will actually command respect from the board level and from the players. But on the other end, it's like, are they going to change anything once he's hired? Right? Like, those are the two things you have to think about. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, guys, the next manager is going to have to be the right one. It's got to be someone that's a winner. Otherwise, you can give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. I had my girlfriend and my daughter come in here to grab some things, so I don't want people to ask questions or anything like that. But anyway, so to answer this question here about why is the media doing this to us with Alonso, we all know Chelsea's not going for him. So my thing is that if it's PR, it's PR. But at the end of the day, I feel like in the back of these owners' heads, they have to understand that if they don't get this right, then thankfully, they're gonna have to sell up and leave. They're gonna have to, right? And I don't think these owners really want to leave, bro. I think they want to try to get this shit right, but the damage has already been done, right? You can hire the elite managers and do all that all you want, but with no money, what manager is gonna really come in here and have anything to really do? You can make the current players better, but every elite manager wants some type of experience in their squad. That's just how I see it. But I was on something before that came in. Xabi Alonso is a no-brainer. Liverpool aren't interested as of now. Real sacked him. Bayern have company. He's a project manager, and the fans and players can get behind. His system suits our squad. His system suits our squad. While we wouldn't go all in for him, maybe because the board's ambitions are different. Yeah, the boards only have ambitions to make the Champions League. But you bring Xabi Alonso in, his ambitions is I'm trying to win the Premier League. I'm trying to win silverware, bro. Like that's the only reason why I'm here. To fill your pockets with money would require me to succumb to whatever you're asking me to do. And a lot of the times, managers like this aren't going to do that. But could he be the guy that actually cracks them? Maybe. Because if they're serious about going after a manager like this, they have to relinquish some type of control on what players come in and out. And the sporting directors are going to have to honestly listen to everything that this man has to say. And the board and the owners. They're going to have to, if they're having serious conversations about this, they have to take all of that into consideration. Otherwise, why even post a story or post any kind of story like this or post any news about this if you know that in your heart of hearts that you're not going to relinquish control of this club, which is why Blue Co needs to sell up and get the fuck out. So when the new owners do come in, they can go get somebody like a Xabi Alonso and they'll be able to say, look, you have about 300 million to play with. Go build this team. Go get the players you need. And he'll be able to identify players he wants and he'll be able to plug them into the squad. The squad has a good foundation already. You have the defensive midfielder. When Levi Colwell comes back, you have one of the center halves you want to build around. You have the club captain, Reece James. You have Enzo Fernandez. You have Cole Palmer, and then you have João Pedro and Esteval. All you need to really fill out is your bench and a few more players of quality who can go into this first team immediately in the first 11 and actually pick up results. It's amazing what winning does to people's mentality, right? It's amazing what happens. Barcelona want Marc Cucurella. I mean, we've been on this. No to Iraola, no to Howe, no to Silva, yes to Alonso. I agree. I'm going to make a statement here. I think Enzo Fernandez is the most complete and most important footballer at Chelsea. This is including mental fortitude and physical durability. With the ball only, it would be Reece James. I can't see how we replace his goals and assists.
GA he's got. Like, I saw a stat, only Morgan Gibbs White, to be fair fucking play to him because he's at Nottingham Forest. He's got 16 goals, I think, in all competitions this season for Forest. Only he has got more than Enzo Fernandez, who has 13 in the Premier League, like in all competitions for Premier League midfield. So This is something really, really underrated. I feel like people are underrating the box crashing element of him.
Yeah. Wait a minute, sir.
Gibbs White is playing like left mid though, isn't he? So it is a big
Wait a minute, sir.
That ends up playing central. But
who are you speaking on when it comes to the underrated ability of his box crashing? I've been on this platform for a few months, and I've been saying this since the start of the season, that he is probably the most important player in the team right now. Well, why is it now that these bigger heads are now starting to say stuff like that? Because they're starting to actually pay attention to his game a bit more, and they understand the importance of him. Yeah, I think that when you have people like this now starting to come out and speaking about the positivity that Enzo Fernandez does bring on the pitch, people need to start listening.
No, it is true. I mean, I'm gonna make a statement, I guess now. We'll see whether you think this is crazy. We'll see whether people listening think this is crazy. Put it in the comments if you do. I think Enzo Fernandez is the most complete footballer and the most important player at our club. And when I say most complete footballer, I don't mean purely like with the ball, because that's Reece James. Yeah. But I think when you're including mental fortitude, physical durability, and just, he's not fast, but everything else physically Enzo does have. Okay, he's not very tall either, but in terms of like I said, durability, I guess, but he can run 95 minutes. He might not run very fast, but he's running 95 minutes, you know?
Running
and he's pressing 95 minutes if he's asked to do that. He's
guys
scoring all the important.
Who's the guy that's generally leading the press? It's this guy. The past couple seasons, it was Nico Jackson. This season, it's been Enzo Fernandez, the guy that's leading the press. Sometimes run past João Pedro and go press the goalkeeper, go press the center halves. Because João Pedro is not a guy who's going to go press, who will put the gegenpress on these guys. Enzo Fernandez will run his socks off to go force a mistake off of these center halves. João Pedro is an exceptional football. I call him a smooth operator because he is a smooth operator. He's our player of the season, to be honest with you. Enzo Fernandez would probably be 1B in that. And then you go Robert Sanchez right after that. If I had my 3 players that I have in the running for player of the season, it'd be João Pedro, Enzo Fernandez, and Robert Sanchez. Right now. That's who I would put in my top 3 for player of the season as of right now. And like, I want to know in the comments, right? Like, is that too far-fetched to really say? Not really, because those have been the 3 best players in our squad all season. Now, Robert Sanchez had a dip in form, but that's because the manager benched him and he drained his confidence and shot, and mentally he was shot. Callum McFarlane believed in him, and he has confidence in himself that he knows he's not a shit goalkeeper. And he was honestly one of the reasons why we were second in the league at one point. He saved us in so many games this season. And so is Enzo Fernandez. And so is João Pedro, right? So it's really a toss-up on who you think the player of the season is. I think the 2 clear favorites would be João Pedro and Enzo. But Robert Sanchez absolutely deserves a shout for Chelsea player of the season, even though there's been not too many great performances out of this club. Like, those 3 players specifically should be in the running for that. But I think João Pedro will ultimately get that award. I still don't know why Jorgensen started in this game, sold our whole season. It did. Do we understand this, bro? That we weren't too far off from beating PSG on that night. That mistake killed off the entire game. We were down 2-1, and who scored the second goal for us? I believe his name was Enzo Fernandez. And who assisted the first goal? Right. I believe his name was Enzo Fernandez, right? The guy that I would say 60% of the fan base wants out of the club has found different ways to keep us in games and to honestly win us games too. That's what I'm saying. I just feel like the criticism that he gets at times is absolutely insane. But when you put in a performance, a man-in-the-match performance like he did yesterday, he deserves the improved salary that he's been asking for. He was the best player on the pitch yesterday. The best player on the pitch yesterday. Across all 22 players, he was the best player on the pitch. That's why he received man of the match. His influence on the game, his passing, his little chips over the top, his shot taking ability, his risk taking when he does take shots. He'll take the most outrageous shots, and sometimes it's on target. Sometimes it's absolutely insane on why you're shooting at. João Pedro had multiple chances yesterday to score. He unfortunately hit the post. He had a volley about 5 minutes after that he slices just wide, and then he has an opportunity in the second half where Malagusa plays it into Enzo. Enzo could have got the assist if João Pedro had just hit that first time, or takes the quick touch and shoots it. Right? Enzo Fernandez's influence in this squad is exactly what I have been saying for this entire time. And people were saying that we're better without him. We have shown that we are not better without him. We are not better without him. We need him in this squad, but all he needs is another creative midfielder next to him with Caicedo in behind. And then you're talking about a solid midfield that you can build around for the next 5 to 6 years, bro, at a minimum. But we'll see what happens, man. I mean, we'll see what happens. Hopefully he does get that new contract, bro, because he does deserve it. Only thing about Alonso, I have a feeling that if we make any sort of progress towards signing him, Liverpool will panic, sack slot just to give 99% chance he chooses them over us too. We need to do an unbelievable job of convincing him, and we do. We do. We're not qualifying for the Champions League, bro. Chelsea fans need to be more patient with Cole Palmer. Football comes with different phases, and when you've got class, a player like Palmer webbed in one of the ugly phases, you simply just have to exercise patience while that phase elapses. I recall when many United fans labeled Bruno Fernandes was the problem. Chelsea Africa, bro. This is what I'm going to say to you. It's okay to criticize Cole Palmer, bro. We can have patience with him, sure, because we've seen what he's done over the first 2 seasons that he's been with us. But when you set expectations like he set for himself, we're allowed to criticize performances. I understand the injuries. I understand the chaotic nature that this club has had over the past few months. But we're allowed to call a spade a spade. Cole Palmer has been shit for the entire season. And there's not enough people talking about that. I'm glad he was dropped yesterday. Why? Because he didn't deserve to start that game. He came on in the second half, and to be honest with you, he did slow down the attack. He did make it a bit more difficult to create chances. But that has everything to do with him. It has nothing to do with the team, because the team out there yesterday actually put in a good performance. He set it back a little bit. And that's on him. That's not on the team. That's on him. And Cole Palmer needs to wake up. He really, really does. The World Cup is in about 6 weeks' time? 7 weeks? He needs to wake up, because he has a real risk of not even starting their first game at the World Cup. He's going to get called up because it's Cole Palmer, and you never know. But with him, with how bad he's been this season, he hasn't scored a goal since Aston Villa away. That was back in March. And before that, he was on a scoreless run of, I believe, 11 games. He has not been good. He just hasn't. So we're allowed to criticize Cole Palmer, bro. That's my favorite player on the team. I love this celebration, bro. I absolutely do. It's one of my favorite ones I've seen in the Premier League, to be honest with you, because he is a cold player when he's on, but he hasn't been on all season. That has to do with injuries, and that has to do with him being mentally shot. But at the same time, he's been back now from injury for almost 4 months now. At some point, you got to figure it out. You're too good of a player to be playing this bad. People say Enzo Maresca ruined him. Enzo Maresca did not ruin Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is ruining himself right now. That's what he's doing. Now, are they going to sell him? No, because Cole Palmer, in my opinion, is one of the untouchables in the squad, along with Enzo, along with Caicedo, and along with João Pedro and Esteval. Everyone, and Reece James, everyone else, you can make the argument could be sold. You want to generate the most money, you sell Enzo Fernandez. You want to make a statement, you sell Cole Palmer. But you're not going to do that because you need those two. Now, could they play in the same midfield together? No. Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer cannot play in the same midfield. If Cole Palmer is the attacking mid, Enzo Fernandez cannot be the box-to-box midfield threat. If Cole Palmer's playing out there on the wings, you can have Enzo Fernandez play in that attacking midfield role, along with being a box-to-box midfielder. And then you can play the midfield three of Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo. But Alonso is not coming to totally change the system. He's coming to modify the system by working on something they already know. This Chelsea team can press. We can sustain a possession. They are used in box midfields. I wouldn't say we're a box midfield. A box midfield is two defensive midfielders and behind two attacking midfielders, in my opinion, or maybe like a diamond midfield where you have 2 8s, a 10, and a 6. They're used to players holding width. They're used to playing with double 10s. They understand double pivots. They understand wing rotation. They don't need a new system. They need somebody to modify it and someone that they respect. And they had the guy in Enzo Maresca that they respected. But unfortunately, he spoke out and he's no longer there. He would be able to not replicate it. I think he would improve it and take it to that next level. I think that's what Xabi Alonso would do. He would take the Enzo Maresca ideas and elevate it to that next level. That's what I think he would do. You don't go undefeated in one of the big 5 leagues if you're not, and especially with Bayern Munich in the same league. I don't think you're an overrated manager. I think you got something about you. The Real Madrid job was just, in my opinion, he got forced out by the players. I don't think these Chelsea players would even remotely try to do something like that. I think these players would play for him, they would get behind him, and that's where I think it would go. And I would love to see him on the touchline at Stamford Bridge next season. I think he would be exceptional. I think he would do a job, and I think he would get the fans back on side. A Liverpool guy, sure, but that doesn't really matter to me. We had Pochettino here, and I didn't think he did that bad of a job, especially towards the end of the season. I don't think he did that bad of a job. I feel like he had his hands tied, and he finally spoke out, and the team all of a sudden started playing better, right? And we ended up shooting up to 6th with the chance, honestly, to snatch 5th, and even a few results go our way, we almost get into the Champions League that season. I think we finished 5 points behind Aston Villa that season. It's possible. Would he come in and completely change the mentality of this club? Absolutely. He would bring his staff in my opinion, he would bring the club legends around this club because he understands being a player and being a legend at a club. He understands the impact they would have on the current squad of players. Has it been confirmed yet, or is it rumors? Because I can't take the PR and selling the streams. Bro, I'm right there with you. Trust me, we've been gaslit too much as a fan base with the PR and like all the bullshit, right? But like I do want to believe that they have to get it right, dude. Like they can't be this. I mean, they're businessmen at the end of the day, and they're supposed to be making money. I can't for the life of me think that there's been more stupider billionaires out there than our ownership. And at some point, with investors feeling the way that they're feeling right now about this club and they're starting to pull out, at some point, you got to get that right. Especially if you don't have any intention to sell and you can sell and the fans don't want you here anymore. The least you can do is get the fucking managerial position right. That's the least you can do. Get that right. And then we'll see what the manager can do with these players. But this team just needs a few more pieces in the squad, bro. And to sell all the deadwood that we have, because for some reason, every season we have deadwood coming back to the club or they're still at the club. I mean, I can't take the PR nonsense either, bro. I think it's ridiculous. I really do. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching, tuning in, doing all of this. Rossini's announcement got leaked a couple weeks before Maresca walked as well. Alonso joining Chelsea in the summer. That was posted on April 3rd. This is something I'm going to bookmark, to be honest with you. And we'll see what happens here. Yeah, we're going to have to bookmark that, because if that ends up being true, he must be from the future. If Todd Boehly and his team truly have Chelsea's interests at heart, then the next Chelsea manager should be Julian Nagelsmann or Xabi Alonso. Nagelsmann has already come up publicly and said that this project is not for football. So there's no shot in hell that he's going to do that. There's no shot. Would I love to have him? He fits exactly what they're looking for in terms of a young manager with fresh ideas. But Julian Nagelsmann is also a very, very, very good manager, right? So Chelsea won't go anywhere near that. Xabi Alonso, on the other hand, he's a very good manager too. The only reason why I feel like they're going to go after him is because they said they want a Xabi Alonso style project. Then go get the guy that you're naming the project after. Santos out, Wharton in. Who says no? That's a very interesting conversation there. Andre Santos, in my opinion, he's a good player, decent player, does need to improve on a few things in terms of the defensive side of his game. He doesn't track his runners when balls are being put into the box, and we saw that a few times already this season. But to bring in Adam Wharton, I guess in a sense, this is the kind of midfielder that you would pair next to in Enzo Fernandez, and you have Caicedo in there too. If you had a midfield of Enzo, Adam Wharton, and Caicedo, I think we would be perfectly fine. You have the left-footed option and you have the right-footed option as the 2-8s, along with Caicedo just in behind. Or if you want to interchange and put Wharton at the 6 and put Caicedo at the 8, you can do that. Right? You can absolutely do that, or have 2 6s and have Enzo pushed up just a bit higher. You can do those things. So I think Adam Wharton will be on the move in the summer. Which club comes after him, I don't know. If I had to put my money on it, I think a team like Man City could come in for him. I think somebody like Manchester United, especially with Champions League football, could be a possibility. Chelsea would only be a possibility if they get the right manager in there. So I wouldn't mind him, though. Jackson for Bowen swap. I don't know about that. I like Jared Bowen too, but in my opinion, that's not who we need on the right, bro. Iraola is not my first choice, but people are acting like he's a bad manager. I agree. He's like my third choice, bro. But he isn't a bad manager. He isn't. I'm sorry. What are we even considering here? 123 games at Bournemouth, 45 wins, a 37% win rate. Highest win rate was 42 in Cyprus. He has had 4 jobs. Go and throw the money at Cesc or Fabregas. If not, grab Felipe Luis. It's like I said, he's not a bad manager. You're the manager at Bournemouth. Like, there's levels to this, right? You give him a better squad of players, I think he can actually do something with that. But it's like you said at the very bottom, just go throw your money at Cesc Fabregas or Alonso. But how much money are you going to pay them? You paid Graham Potter $12 million a year. You just paid Rossini $24 million. Enzo Maresca didn't even want the money. He just wanted out. So how much money are you throwing at Cesc or Xabi Alonso? You're going to have to throw the Brinks truck at them at this point, right? When will Man City games be played?
People are suggesting so. There are now a few posts on X suggesting that Man City are trying to push the Premier League to rearrange the Palace and Bournemouth games in the opposite order to which they were postponed in. So originally, Man City versus Palace was meant to be weeks ago. Remember when Arsenal played Wolves in that midweek? That's when that game was meant to be, but it couldn't be because Palace were playing in the Conference League at that point. So it still hasn't been rearranged. And then the Bournemouth game was meant to be the same weekend as the FA Cup final. Obviously, it can't now be. The precedent in the Premier League is that rearranged games should be played in the order in which they were cancelled if possible. Therefore, the Palace game should come first, the Bournemouth game should come second. For Man City, there are...
I'll be honest, if they're really trying to rearrange games, I'll be honest, I don't really have a problem with that. I really don't. Now, the idea to switch Palace and Bournemouth around, I mean, Man City should be able to beat both those teams regardless of what order they're in. But I can understand why they're trying to rearrange games. Callum McFarlane praises Pedro Neto, but sparks a debate among Chelsea fans. He was amazing today, big threat, top delivery, complete performance. But here's the real question. Are we now calling one of the strong performances amazing at Chelsea? Yes, Neto was dangerous. Yes, the cross was quality. No one is denying that. But at a club like Chelsea, that should be the standard, not something that gets overhyped after one game. Top players don't get praised for doing it once. They do it every single week. If this is the level that gets called complete, then it says a lot about where the expectations are right now, and they're on the floor. Pedro Neto did play a good game yesterday. He was actually very bright yesterday. Was taking on his fullback, was driving into the box, was getting crosses in, was making runs in behind, using his pace that he's really great at using. But if this is a complete performance, then where has this been? Then where have these performances been all season, bro? You're showing up in the FA Cup final, but he also wasn't playing that well under Enzo Maresca too. So where have these performances been all season? They've been missing. He's been missing all season. Which record is the hardest to break here? Wow, that's actually a really good question. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options here. So we have Sir Alex Ferguson's 13 Premier League titles, Zinedine Zidane's 3-peat, Carlo Ancelotti's 5 Champions League titles, 100 points in a season, 49 games unbeaten, a 9-year unbeaten home run, Mikel Arteta 3 straight title. I'll be honest, I think the most difficult one to catch here would be, as of right now, I think it would have to be that between the 9-year home unbeaten run. Honestly, I think that should be one of the answers. And I think 13 Premier League titles is nuts. But Pep, I think, has what? 6? So he's not even halfway there. So I'd probably say the 13 Premier League titles for sure is one. And then I'd probably say that 9-year unbeaten home run would probably be that second one. But then again, 3-peating in the Champions League is very, very difficult. It's very difficult. I don't care if you had Cristiano Ronaldo or not. Gareth Bale, Benzema, Toni Kroos, Modric. I don't care if you have those players. It's very difficult to win 3 straight European titles, especially in this age of the game, especially in this era. It's very difficult, dude. Pep Guardiola's 100-point season. If a team plays exceptional all season, then that's a real possibility. There's been numerous 90-point totals from champions in the Premier League. We know one of the most famous ones is Man City and Liverpool going neck and neck in the 2018-19 season, where Man City finished on 98 and Liverpool finished on 97 points, right? Those two teams almost got 100 points there. So it's not impossible to get 100 points, but you essentially have to win about 31, 32 games and only drop and only lose like maybe 1 or 2 games, maybe. Arsene Wenger's 49-game league unbeaten run, that goes part and part, I think, with the invincible season. And I mean, no team's going to go. I mean, the closest team I think that could have done it was Liverpool when they won it during COVID. That was the closest thing we've seen to the Invincibles. But even then, like, you're not taking that team over that invincible Arsenal team. I'm not. I'm absolutely not doing that. Carlo Ancelotti, 5 Champions League titles. You know, he's probably the greatest manager in terms of European pedigree because he won the Champions League as a player, and he's won 5 Champions League titles as a manager, which is incredible, right? And then obviously Mikel Arteta, 3 straight title races, 2nd place finishes. He's gonna break his own record, in my opinion. He's gonna have 4 straight seasons. But yeah, I'd probably say the most difficult one would probably be between Sir Alex Ferguson and probably that 9-year home unbeaten run. I think that's incredible. Maybe we were too harsh on the sporting directors. Enzo, Cucurella, and Levi Colwell. That's what I would do. I would take out Chalobah and I would go get another center half. That's what I would do. Breaking, Xabi Simons has deleted all his posts on Instagram right after Chelsea qualified for the FA Cup finals. He's really regretting that move to Spurs. I mean, I think he is regretting that move to Spurs. We just didn't call him up. Like, we just sent him up. Yeah, right, bro. He ain't leaving Manchester United. Biasness aside, who is their number 8 here? I think it's Odegaard. I'm going to be real. I think it's Martin Odegaard. For this season, yeah, I think Martin Odegaard is the worst number 8 here. And if you disagree with me, I want to know why you think Martin Odegaard is better than Enzo, Pedri, Valverde, Bruno Fernandez, and Szoboszlai. You need to let me know why, because Martin Odegaard has been horrific this season. Yeah, so the Champions League returns tomorrow. You got Bayern Munich versus PSG on one side and Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal on the other. I could probably give my Champions League predictions right here, actually. I might do that. Might actually do that, man. So, PSG versus Bayern, you know, they've met each other numerous times over the past few seasons in the Champions League. You know, one time in the Champions League final, I think another time in the quarterfinals where Neymar had one of the great performances without scoring a goal in that game, right? But this is a different iteration of Bayern, and this is also a different iteration of PSG. PSG are on a mission to repeat, but Bayern Munich are also on a mission to just rip up everyone in Europe, similar to what PSG did, right? If I had to pick my winner in this tie right now, I'm going to slightly favor Bayern Munich. Just. Now, it all depends where the first game's being played, right? But the way I'm looking at it, man, I think Bayern Munich. Let me see where the first game is being played at. That's going to probably dictate how I see things here. They play on Wednesday, and the first game is in Munich. Well, actually, no. The first game's in Paris. I think PSG win that game slightly. I'm going to probably say 2. I want to say 3-2 PSG on that night. But when they return to Bayern, when they return to Munich, I think Munich will beat them. Not convincingly, but I think they will beat them. And I think you can see Bayern Munich going to the final. Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid. This is Arsenal's best chance ever, in my opinion, to get to a Champions League final. Now, will they win it? No, because I think whoever comes out of the Bayern and PSG tie is going to win the Champions League. But Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid, with the first leg being in Madrid at the Metropolitano, I think Arsenal are going to struggle significantly in that game. I think Diego Simeone is going to find a way to frustrate Mikel Arteta's side. I think he's going to get under their skin. I think Atletico Madrid will be on the counterattack a lot of that game because Arsenal like to have possession of the ball. But will Arsenal be clinical when they need to? They only scraped out a 1-0 win against Newcastle, and even that goal was a set piece. From open play, Arsenal are not the same team as they are from set pieces. So if I have to give my prediction of what's going to go down in this game, in this tie, I think Atletico Madrid will beat them over both legs. Yes, Arsenal beat them 4-0, I think, at the Emirates. But I think in a two-legged tie, momentum is everything. And mental games and confidence is everything. And I think right now, Arsenal feel more pressure to win the Premier League than they do to win the Champions League. Now, Arsenal fans will snatch your hands off to win the Champions League because they've never won it. But trust and believe, the Arsenal fans want the Premier League more than they want the Champions League. If they get the Champions League, it'll be sensational for that fan base because then they got something to finally think we're champions of Europe, right? But I think in a tie like this, I'm trusting Diego Simeone to get the job done over both legs. I think Atletico Madrid will beat them over both legs. I don't think convincingly. It's going to be tight and cagey. It's going to be and it may even be a freaking bloodbath. But I think when push comes to shove and who has the better mentality, I think Atletico Madrid will find a way to get to the final. But Atletico Madrid won't win the Champions League. I think the winner of the Champions League is going to be Bayern or PSG at this point. And until I see otherwise, I'm not changing my stance on that. So I think the final will be Bayern Munich versus Atletico Madrid. And I'm not saying that because I'm wearing this jersey. I'm saying that because I don't trust Mikel Arteta in high pressure situations, in high pressure games. I don't trust it. And I don't think any fan trusts it. And I don't even think Arsenal fans will trust that. This is what we used to have, bro. Jose Mourinho, it's crazy, bro. Rafael Leao, he's got X factor. He brings decisiveness and ideas in the final third. I'm gonna guess he's a baller who can get you off your seat, take on players ready to make immediate impact. For me, that's enough. Especially if he was like 50 million, Garnacho costs similar, and he's none of that. I've said this, bro. If Rafael Leao is available and it's for a favorable fee, Chelsea should absolutely go after him. He needs a change of scenery, and Chelsea need a player like that on the left wing that is just different and that actually plays with a smile on his face. That's something I want to see. I'd be all here for it. I've been on record saying that. Rafael Leao is the left winger I want to see Chelsea go after. Again, I'm thanking everybody here that is tuning in, chiming in, asking questions, getting involved, all that. On the road to 2,000 subs on YouTube, just trying to get there before the end of the year. I love posting content. I love getting on stream and just giving my opinions on what I'm seeing here, right? I've tried to educate the fan base on how upgradable Cucurella is. Most Chelsea fans see it now. Barcelona want him. Great news. Joao Hato's breakthrough season next year is going to be special. No more limitations at left back. Cucurella's form has dropped, but I think that has everything to do with the managerial change. Joao Hato is a good player. He's been one of the bright spots in this horrific 2026 so far. He really has been. So if Barcelona come knocking and there's an offer for Marc Cucurella, in my opinion, because I think he's only on the contract till 2028, I think Chelsea will capitalize and I think they'll sell him. That's just me. Alonso's football is a 3-in-1 style with Klopp's pressing, Guardiola's positional play, and Deniz's relationist approach. I can't even talk right now. Fluid and rotations. He favors a box midfield with 2 pivots, 2 tens, making his football entertaining. Alonso mostly played 4-2-3-1 at Madrid and can do that. But will always set his team up in a 3-2-5-1, then adapts to a 3-2-2-3, 3-4-2-1, and 3-2-3-2. We saw the 3-4-2-1 against Brighton, and we got absolutely destroyed, bro. But again, the players on that day just stopped playing for him. If Chelsea and Strasbourg are permitted into the same European competition and following past president, it is likely they would not be allowed to trade players until 2028. Yeah. Nico Williams, explosive pace, elite ball progression, strong in transition, stretches defensive line, direct 1v1 threat, creates space in chaos and wide areas, element and dry, dynamic dribbler, thrives in tight spaces, intelligent movement between lines, adds unpredictability and creativity in the final third, control versus chaos, which profile fits the Chelsea project better. I think in dry. I think you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for Nico Williams to come to Chelsea, bro. I mean, I remember he was linked with them, but we never made a bid because the asking price for him, and he wanted to be paid too much money. And we know these owners aren't going to be paying people over 200 grand a week, 250 grand a week, unless there's Champions League. But even then, I think Iliman and Jai would be a better signing for this club than Nico Williams. I think Nico Williams is really just waiting to get his move to a Barcelona, bro. I think that's what he's waiting for. If Eddie Howe joins Chelsea, I'll be done. He ain't even here or probably even close, but I'm already Howe out. I'm Howe out for Newcastle fans. That's how much I don't rate him. His greatest achievement was getting promoted from the Championship. He didn't even win it. Here's why Chelsea want Iraola. No coaching metric would make him the worthy candidate. 10 million for Semenyo, sold for 60. 19 million for Solanke, sold for 65. 12 million for Housen, sold for 50. 15 million for Kirkaz, sold for 50. Zabarani, 24 million, sold for 60. Yeah, the manager, the owners are going to be looking for a manager that can probably turn these players into profit, right? That's a good way to put it.
Justo después, Trent tampoco va a seguir al sprint el contragolpe del Betis.
This was top from Sanchez. I mean, it was a great save. I already know what save is. Chelsea counter press versus Leeds. Do you see how they just immediately swarm the ball? When they lose the ball here, right? They're immediately on you. 1, 2. Right? This was the shot I was talking about here where he just sliced it wide, man. That would have been a great goal. Anyone know of good Leverkusen counts on here? Yeah, I mean, I want to start seeing what the Bayer Leverkusen fans are saying about the possibility. Insane stuff here, guys. Insane stuff. Yeah, again, I appreciate everyone chiming in and tuning in. Been on here for about an hour now. I'm gonna probably get off of here right now. Got some stuff I need to take care of around the house. Got some food to make for my family and stuff like that. You know, I do want to jump on to the full cam for a second and just say a few things, honestly, that I think need to be said. And this is where I'm pivoting away from football for a second, and I'm just going to be talking about so I recently said in my last stream that I have been on a journey for myself in terms of just trying to stay sober and trying to lay off the weed, right? And I've been doing very well with it. I'm on my 10th day now. And, you know, it feels great. It feels good. It feels, you know, like I'm getting back to myself. And all I can really say is that if you're struggling with anything, right, mentally, addiction, anything like that, just go find somebody to talk to and make sure it's the right people that you're talking to, right? The most important thing is having that great support system around you. And that's something that I do have. And I know this isn't the platform to be talking about support, but I do want to say that the people that have come into my life recently and the people that have been in my life, all the support that you've given me, all the love you guys have given me, I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. A lot of the stuff that's been going on, you know, I can be better with, and I know I need to work on it. You know, Chelsea winning yesterday was great for my mental, was great for my confidence and stuff like that, because when they win and they actually play well, like it does bring a little bit more joy out of me, sure. But one thing I have to understand here is that I can't allow stuff like that to dictate my mood or anything like that, right? Like that shouldn't be an excuse. And if you need to take time away from watching something or covering something, then that's something that I'm always going to do. Right. And I took the liberty on Tuesday not to watch the game mainly because I was at work, for one, and two, mentally, I just wouldn't be able to take it. And I'm just glad that I'm able to get this off my chest. But with that being said, I'm Jason. This is No Filter Chels, on the road to 2,000 subs. Smash the like button, smash that sub button if you enjoy my content and if you just enjoy talking about football, right? But I'm going to get out of here. Much love. Stay happy, stay healthy, and just make sure that your mental is always right.